Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
Hi. So one of the ways that I wasted time this week is trying to not take over planning for this group trip for our high school friends that's happening in October. Because at first it was going to be at that super expensive, like everybody stays in an Airstream and pays what I would consider to be like Hawaii hotel prices or like, yeah, like ridiculous, right? To be in fucking like North Carolina. And so now it's like, well, what if we change the dates and what if we do this and blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about, you know, if we have an Airbnb, there's a cleaning requirement. So, and then who's like, flights to Asheville are expensive, but Charlotte is a lot cheaper. It's a 2-hour drive. So I posted one helpful comment, which was not sure if helpful, but Knoxville, Tennessee is also 2 hours away. And then I said, it's unreasonable the number of anxiety dreams I've had about being stuck cleaning an Airbnb by myself after a big group trip in comparison to the number of actual Airbnbs I've rented. Then I added, and yes, I'm medicated because I am medicated, but that is one of my recurring anxiety dreams. Is that it's I'm literally trying to get everybody to pack and get the fuck out just so I can clean because everybody else is acting like nothing's going to happen. I'm just like, we don't live here. Go away. Like, if you can't help me, at least remove yourself completely from this situation. Like, it's a lot. I spend a lot of my time.
The thing with Airbnb is like you don't really have to clean that much because you pay a cleaning fee.
It depends on which one I mean, some of them are a lot more strict.
Yeah, but
yeah, still.
Most of them are just like take out the trash and pile up all the dirty linens.
Uh-huh.
Like I've stayed at more Airbnbs than you have.
Yeah, but when you have a group of people that are dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And don't get, like, here's another example. So last night, Mom and her friends went to Dallas, the big city, to see Paula Poundstone. And apparently she did a lot of crowd work. But she got to learn that there is a city in the DFW Metroplex called White Settlement and is apparently going to use that in her future tour dates. So look forward to that, America. Because yes, it is ridiculous that we do still have a city
I know.
Called White Settlement.
It's really fun that Ben and I drive to it every time we go visit his racist family.
But anyway, of course, Mom was very anxious about the whole situation. It was supposed to include dinner, but she didn't understand how, and she wasn't sure how much the tickets were. And of course, Carmen couldn't remember. And so it turns out that the tickets were not that expensive, and they were on the third row, which was great. And then dinner was optional. It was a buffet, which... How could anyone eat a buffet post-COVID? I do not understand.
Yeah.
But Mom literally looked at it was a $35 buffet, and Mom looked through it, and the only thing on it that she saw that she wanted to eat was like salad. So she's like, I just had a heavy lunch. The show started at like 7 or some shit. She had heavy lunch. So I was like, take these fig bars with you, get out of my face. Like, do not try to walk downstairs after all of your wine, all of this mess. So Monique was driving and Penny was co-pilot. And everything was fine until they were trying to leave. And somehow Monique got turned around and she was going in the outdoor. And Penny was co-pilot. And Monique was flustered. We love you, Monique. We know you get flustered. I get flustered too. I would never.
Was she walking or driving?
They were driving. They were all in the car. So they had valet parked. They had picked up the car from
when you
the
say
valet.
In the outdoor, that made me okay. So she was trying to exit through the entrance.
Correct.
Okay.
In the act of exiting, she somehow came back through the entrance as though they were trying to come back to see the show again. And Penny is unhelpfully just back up. He's like, I can't just back up. And somehow there were all these traffic cones and whatever. And Penny's like, just stop the car, gets out, starts to move traffic cones, gets back in the car. Cop comes over, starts yelling at her. She's acting like nothing's the matter, nothing's wrong. She doesn't understand why this cop is mad. I'm like, you are so lucky. You are just a bunch of old, mostly white ladies. Like,
oh
holy fuck. Like, this cop is like, this is how people get killed. And I'm sure Monique was mortified. And Monique, I'm so, so sorry. Also, never, ever, ever let Penny be your co-pilot because, oh my God. But that is why I have anxiety dreams about Airbnbs, because of people like that are just like, whatever, we'll just move the cones. Like, no, you can't move the fucking cones. Like, you're not in the middle of nowhere. Like, you're in downtown fucking Dallas on a Saturday night. If there are cones there, you motherfucking leave those cones there. And if you gotta drive all the way back up through that parking garage and sit in that line and wait all the way till you get your ass back out, then that is what you are going to do, like a normal citizen trying to make the modern world function. Like, God damn it.
White women don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, especially when they live in the country.
Wow. Way to be a Karen, Penny. Wow.
No shit. I mean, at least she didn't scream back at the officer. Like,
well, yeah, she's smart enough not to do that. But...
there's that, but like they travel internationally together. I'm like, no. no.
I'm glad they don't go to Mexico together anymore, because
yeah.
yeah.
No.
Oh geez.
Yeah. So
well, I was thinking about the Airbnb. Like, I thought about the trip yesterday randomly. And was just like, oh, well, Heather will let me know. So
yeah, now they're talking about changing weekends. I have no idea. Just like because that was my first suggestion, was like, there were some cool people we wanted to come. We didn't have enough to get the group rate without those cool people. So I'm like, why don't we just go a different week? And like, Andy's one of the main organizers, and he's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, okay. Like, because they run their own business. So if they're not working, they don't make money. If they're not working, they're, I mean, they're in merchandising. So like, they got to run their business. So like, I get it. Like, like, my job doesn't fucking matter. I could be on vacation while I'm there. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, same for me. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't learn when I'm there. They don't learn when I'm not there. It doesn't matter. That's all.
It wasn't really what I meant, but yeah.
I mean, I guess I have to consider the fact that Elliot's starting real school. So, but it's kindergarten, whatever. Like,
yeah. He would learn a lot hanging out with our high school friends. That let's just, yeah, he would.
He would. No, I know. I mean, I want to go. I want it to happen. So,
yeah.
I'll
let you know.
think, you're either gonna have to like let them let you plan the whole thing, or just let it go. And
oh yeah, no, I'm very much in the whatever.
Let me know.
I haven't paid any money, so
yeah.
And when the major storming and norming part of this was happening, my back was broken, so it's not like I could just take over anyway. So, like, okay. How'd you waste time this week?
I wasted a lot of time going to soccer practice and soccer game, and Elliot not playing.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So, unfortunately, it got real cold in Lexington this week. It was beautiful last week when he had his first soccer practice, and he had a great time. And then Tuesday we had practice, and like, I was worked late, whatever. So came home, and it's like his practice is at 6, and so it's like we gotta come home and have dinner and get ready. And, it's a little hectic. Yeah. And I knew that it was cold, and I thought, oh God, yes, take a jacket. And then somehow we managed to leave without a coat, even though both parents were there, and didn't realize it till we got there and got out of the car. And he's like, it's cold, and because we were like in a very large open park area where just the winds just come through, like. Yeah. And so we attempted to put a Ben's coat on him and a blanket, and we lasted about 10, and he tried, like, God love him, he tried. And then, but we left after about 10 or 15 minutes. And then yesterday he was supposed to have his first game at 9, and like, we got up and we got out, and it wasn't hectic, which is kind of surprising because we are not morning people. Like, us being somewhere by 9 on a Saturday morning is not a common thing. And we were actually early, which was good because there's like a lot of soccer areas in this, different soccer. So it's like soccer morning. So there's a lot of traffic getting in. And so we had our little wagon, and Elliot would not get out of the wagon to play soccer. He was there under the blanket. He wouldn't even take his head out of the wagon. His coach came over and tried to coax him out of the wagon. I attempted like bribery with new toy, and he was not having it. And so we stayed for about 30 minutes, and his team was doing great. I don't know how the game ended, but so yeah, I got very cold and wasted a lot of time and energy to not watch my kid play soccer. But luckily, we don't have a game for 3 more weeks, something like that. I don't think we have another game till April 13th, so it should be much warmer by then. So, so yeah, that was fun. Cold. I was so cold yesterday. It took me so long to warm back up. Like I couldn't feel my fingers by the end of it. And it was like, why do we have 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds running around in this? But
That's a great question.
It builds grit.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
Speaking of questionable choices for children, hey, this is the first of a series we're kicking off called They Let You Watch That? Yeah, they let us watch that. Starting with A Fish Called Wanda, which, just to place this in time, was released in 1988, so we probably saw it in 89 when it came out on video. So I would have been 11, and Ryan would have been 8. And yeah, they definitely let us watch this. But I do have some thoughts about that as we revisit. But I wonder, what do you remember about A Fish Called Wanda?
Well, I told Ben that we were starting, this was the theme, and then I told him the 2 of the movies, and he was like, for Fish Called Wanda, he was like, yeah, see how that, which I was like, I'm surprised he'd even seen it, but, I remember the whole cast, I remember everyone who was in it, and, I remember that Kevin Kline was a complete asshole, and I remember it was probably the first time that I was introduced to like the British parliamentary like government legal system with the barrister and the wigs. I also wrote down steamroller, fish tank, and thieves ?
Oh, nice, cool.
Yep.
I remembered Portia and Portia because I didn't understand. So to place that in time, about this time, actually, I also started reading Shakespeare for fun. Yeah, I did. It's a thing.
What a nerd.
However, I didn't read any of the plays with a character called Portia. And I think even if I had, it might have been like a Hermione thing where until the movies came out, because
Like,
I am American, I didn't know how to pronounce Hermione. So I thought, like my friend Teresa and other people, it was Hermione because that's how it fucking looks like, Hermione. And then the movie came out and they're like, Hermione. I'm like, oh, that's how you say that. So I don't think I had been introduced to Portia as a name at that time, but I will say that possibly if I had, it was just sometimes you read something in your head, it sounds differently.
How is it spelled as a name? Because now I'm thinking I'm not spelling it right in my head.
Portia.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Which I think if I saw that, I would have been like Portia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also doesn't, like, because, we grew up in Texas, so there's a lot of Spanish influence, so a lot of times if I see a name like that, I'm going to go for whatever seems like the Spanish version of it, which Portia is not. So anyway, I remember so many Kevin Kline lines because I watched this movie a lot in the 90s. I mean, a lot.
I definitely saw this movie more than once.
Yeah. I remember John Cleese half naked, which was actually fully naked, that he was a barrister. And then I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis in lingerie, or is that just all Jamie Lee Curtis movies in the 80s and 90s?
Yes.
She doesn't mind being out there with her body. And, That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She's hilarious. So she was the only person John Cleese had in mind for the role because he knew she could do it all, and she did. She was great. So yeah. So thoughts watching it now?
Yeah, like I know this was one Dad liked a lot, so I'm sure that we watched it because of Dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's rated R. As far as like questionability, like why we were allowed to watch this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much as I guess I did as a child.
No.
Well, it's just, I don't know. It was kind of problematic. There were definitely parts that I liked. Again, I'm in a mood, so forgive me, dear
Yeah.
listeners. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. That's great.
Sorry, you're gonna.
So I liked the way that they introduced all the characters. I thought they were all really great character introductions. I think Kevin Kline's introduction as Otto is probably the best introduction to a character ever entered on screen. Like, with the possible second best of when Gene Wilder comes in as Willy Wonka and then knocks the cane away. Like just so good, so good. I was immediately struck by the soundtrack because whenever they showed the Wanda fish, they started that like guitar like pling pling
Mm-hmm.
pling 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 pling, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I couldn't remember the name of it, but I was like, that sounds like that fucking fat-phobic Christmas movie that everybody loves, which I now remember is Love Actually. But
Oh,
yes, definitely. I don't know if it was
it was just like,
intentionally
oh my
influenced,
God.
but there are definitely parts of the Love Actually soundtrack that very much have that pling 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 sound. So yeah,
It was like the worst song that I was like, oh God. Like anytime someone started getting lovey-dovey, and then it would go like soft focus,
yeah.
And it's like, also, like, I think they could have like scaled back a little bit on like the fish tank coverage in the opening. Like it was like, okay,
That was a
like
lot
20
to
minutes
just
of like
watch a
fish tank.
fish. It was not
And
20
it made
minutes.
me remember when we got a fish tank, and I'm wondering if it's because of this movie that Dad
Possibly.
and Mom were suddenly like, let's get a fish tank. Like, why the fuck did we ever get a fish tank?
Mom really enjoys the animal life. She
Uh,
does. I
yeah,
don't
no,
know.
she does. But I mean, I know we had one for like a while.
Yeah,
I
we did.
remember going to the fish store and like
Yeah.
picking out the fish and stuff. But
I mean, I think as like a metaphor for the way the characters interact in the film, it was kind of interesting to have the fish there that like,
yeah,
because they're not, it's like, what are their motivations or whatever? It's like
yeah, I was
they're
kind
just
of trying to
being,
like read into it a little bit, like with the bottom feeders and the like.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
But yes, it did. They could have rolled the credits a little faster so we didn't have to just watch fish for quite so long. I agree. Now,
Like a mindful video. Like let's be mindful right now.
we hate that shit. Oh my gosh, I was laughing so hard at the end of the getaway when they pull that car into that tiny ass garage with those little ass doors.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like,
I was like, this is a very high security storage facility y'all have here for these diamonds. Like,
not so much that as I was like, oh my God, England and their goddamn tiny doors. Like,
why is everything
y'all.
so yes, because they're like, and I know John Cleese is tall.
He's tall, yes.
He's tall, but like when they're in that flat on the river later, and like, why are the doors in England so? Is it because it was old and people you're shorter because we didn't put vitamin D in milk? Is that really what it
Yeah,
is?
there's
So
no
like,
fluoride in the water.
and like everything in England's just like pre giving people proper nutrition so that they can actually grow.
Well,
Like,
and also, I mean, they had to rebuild London a whole bunch because it kept burning. So if you think about
so
that,
yeah, so they should have gotten taller doors at some point. Like,
burning. That makes no logical sense. No, no.
logical sense. Like, as
And
they kept rebuilding, they were like, oh, people are taller now. Let's build taller fucking
no, they
doors.
were
So
like,
people,
listen, you only got to go through the door a couple of times a day. You're inside, you're outside. It just make it short. Like, just everybody learn to bend a little, just bend a little. But I will tell you guys that I do have funny pictures of us from going to England and encountering tiny ass doors and like
So tiny. I really thought I wasn't gonna make it back into
yeah,
our hostel.
we stayed. That was at the castle, wasn't it?
The castle in Durham. Yeah.
In Durham, yeah. We went out. Well, we went into the pub in the basement of the castle or somewhere in the castle. We went to the pub and it was an English pub, and so nobody talked to us. And then we're like, let's just go wander around the river, and then we got lost because it's us. And then we came back and they had like locked the castle for the night or whatever.
The gates, the big gates.
The big gates.
So there was just one tiny little door,
Yeah.
the size of like a large mini fridge.
Yeah. So we had to like go back through, like, oh shit. It was not.
So
It was not.
we have a lot of pictures of you in front of and me in front of tiny doors in England. That was like
Yeah,
a
because
thing.
England is full of tiny doors, which if I had paid closer attention in this movie, I would not have been surprised by. I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be a country with tiny doors. And no, I just wasn't.
That's like last weekend when Elliot was building his fort, and he built it the first time, and it was like half the bed, and Ben was already in there, and he's like, "Mommy, get in!" And I was like, "Honey,
Yeah,
I can't." And he's like, "I'll push you." And I was like, "Oh, I don't need to Winnie the Pooh into your fort, honey. Like this is another Winnie the Pooh moment of my life."
Let's not do this. Um, I do feel like, I mean, Kevin Kline just got so many great, like he had like when he'd drive on the wrong side of the road and yell asshole, when he kept doing what was the middle thing again? Like, it was so stupid.
Oh my god, I know.
Love
Yeah,
all of that.
he had a lot of very good recurring bits.
I hate it when I get diamond dust on my pants. So annoying.
It wasn't diamond dust; it was glass.
I know, but still, at first I thought it was diamond dust.
Because I was like, why are they making such a point of him kicking the window, like
Right.
picking out the glass? And I was like, oh, okay.
They needed it.
It's nice that his parents were so willing to be an alibi for him, though.
I mean,
I guess,
they had to give him something if he had to grow up to be criminal. Obviously, there was something missing in his childhood. Did you realize that they did tickets, money, passports?
He did, yes.
They did it in the opposite order. Yes. I was laughing so hard. She's like, money, tickets, passports, or whatever. And I was like, oh, tickets, money, passports. Which made me
I was just like, I mean, I did write, like, I don't know if this is the Shakespeare line or comes from Shakespeare line, but man, yes, there is no honor amongst thieves.
No, yeah, they were
all ready to double cross each other.
Double, triple, quadruple cross. Yep.
Oh my god.
I really
also, at the beginning, and it's not very feminist of me, but I did write, how many people is she fucking? Like, does she fuck everyone in this movie?
She doesn't. She does kiss them all, but I like how she used clothing to build character and to seduce, which I thought was very, very smart. One thing I don't like, and I don't know if she still does it because I'm not a huge, I mean, I like Jamie Lee Curtis, but I'm not like, I'm going to watch everything Jamie Lee Curtis does. In these movies, she does the flashy eye thing, which when she's in close-up, her eyes go back and forth trying to look at the other person in close-up.
Yeah,
and I cannot stand that.
Yeah.
So actors, listen, just pick an eye. Just pick one and stare at it. Act like the person only has one eye. I can remember
you bitching about this when Romeo and Juliet came out.
Yes, because it's fucking
with Claire
annoying.
Danes. Like, that's how long I've been listening to you complain about it.
It's really annoying.
Like, since then, like, I notice it when actors do it, because she doesn't do it as fast. Claire Danes doesn't, but she's like, when they're like under the sheets or whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you're looking at someone and it's 25 feet of their face, like, it's very obvious. Kevin Kline reminded me a bit of our Uncle Eddie in this.
I feel like I wondered if we were going to talk about that, because I feel like Kevin Kline, we often associated Kevin Kline with our uncle.
Yeah, I think it's just his. It has to be his physicality, right? Because as an actor, he definitely plays a range, and there's not much of that range that is actually personality adjacent.
I feel like some of the way he talks, like,
sure,
and the inflections, the way he inflects is very similar. I think it's definitely physicality, like there's a physical resemblance.
Yeah.
But I think too, like there's a personality connection. Like very much at the end, as when I kind of wrote it down. I was like, "Are we going to talk about this?"
Yeah. I love that at one point he was just yelling Italian cheeses.
Like everything he spoke in Italian was just food. Like it was like you don't speak Italian.
If you've seen French Kiss, you might know that he is actually fluent in French, and he asked if he could speak French instead, and they were like, "No, that's to be Italian." So he doesn't know any Italian. So a lot of this movie was improv, which is great. Like, it shows it's great. But I loved it too, because if you remember that Flight of the Conchords song, Fuda Fafa, he did the same thing. Exactly.
Yeah. Baguette. Oui, baguette. Yeah.
You start running out of words in a language, just say food.
Yes, because that's the thing we most know. Mm-hmm. But I did have a question, because, you see how Jamie Lee Curtis reacts to the Italian and then later the Russian.
Yes.
And, and then, of course, there's like Morticia from the Addams Family, where he's speaking French. Is he French? What is he speaking as? But whatever.
Yeah.
Like, is that a thing? Is that like a real thing that people speak? I mean, like, I know that like we like accents and, we'll be like, woohoo, but it's like, I've never heard someone speak. I mean, maybe we should talk to Mom with her whole Orson Welles thing. Or like Fran in that episode of like Black Books, where it's like the guy's reading the fucking shipping news and she's like literally someone's voice and speaking a language that can just like take you there.
Yeah, I think so.
Like that's a thing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it could be a thing for a lot of people. I think for women, it seems a more likely thing.
I mean, voice maybe like I get, but like a language, like, oh, now you're speaking in French. Like,
I mean, I think people are into that. I don't really care. I don't.
Okay.
I prefer.
Right, dear listeners, if you're one of these people that language just like really does it for you.
I know that I would rather, and I think there was a comedian who said this, I don't remember who it was, but that I think it would be sexier to hear someone speak in Russian. Because if someone speaks English with a Russian accent, it's terrifying. but Russian itself can be a very lovely language to hear.
I mean, it was nice when John Cleese was speaking it, but then he was also just like, getting naked. And you know what? I'm going to admit it. John Cleese is fucking fit. Like, I was like, okay, whoa, look at those legs.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice legs. Yeah. He had no shame in his game, for sure.
Yeah.
Which yeah. Michael Palin is so sweet. I loved him. Apparently, when he read the script, he was like, this is so dumb. But he did it anyway.
Oh my God. I bet you a pound you won't kill her. Like a pound? Like,
I mean, what? Like he knew.
Yeah. And how did Kevin Kline, how did they get an American car over there? Because like when he was driving on the American side. Like the steering wheel was on the American side.
There are these things called boats.
They took a okay. I don't know. I'm not buying it, but okay.
How did they both get over there? Who would let him have a passport?
I mean, but I thought by the end I was like, was he actually in the CIA?
I know, I do love that.
Like he says it so many times, and then
he kind of would have been good in the CIA because he was so confusing about it.
Yeah. Well, and then at the end when they're like, and he went to South Africa and became a part of the head of the Justice Department or something.
Yeah, which by the way, I did not get that joke as a kid. Like, because this is during apartheid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, the Minister of Justice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do feel like I did kind of ask myself this, like, do I know the things I know because we were allowed to watch so many movies and television that wasn't like kids' movies growing up? Like, is that why? Because I feel like I know a lot of things that
other
other
people
people
don't really
my
get.
age don't really
Yeah.
know.
I think we definitely have a lot of references that other people don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
And they're not like science or anything useful.
No, no, it's not like we learned this because we were watching documentaries and like
Right.
reading books. Well, but I wasn't reading books.
Well, I wasn't reading science books. Like, I mean, there's a lot to be said for knowledge of Shakespeare, but at a certain point, it's only going to get you so far. Yeah, no, I don't know. I do feel like that. I think that it opened us up to I don't know, a way of thinking about being adult where we definitely could see different sides of it. I mean, I think that's why neither of us is like married with 2 kids and the picket fence and all that shit. Like
Mm,
I
that's
think
why.
that, yeah, well, that and being a heterosexual feminist is a hard way to exist in this world.
It's not because we're fucking assholes.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. But I mean, I think too, like if we hadn't been exposed to other ways of existing, then we would have been more willing to fold ourselves into the shape that it takes to be that. You know what I mean? Like,
we would be basic. We're not basic because we were exposed to.
but that's definitely part of it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad that I was exposed to any of this at all. Like,
No, I'm not mad either. I mean, I do like question if like they ever were like, maybe we shouldn't let them watch this,
I mean, I'm
because
pretty sure, like, I mean, when I walked in on A Clockwork Orange, Dad did send me back to bed. It's not like I walked in on A Clockwork Orange and
yeah,
Dad
there was a bar, there was a line.
Here's some things you need to learn about right now.
Yeah,
6-year-old, like,
I do like the one that I remember. The only movie I remember being told I couldn't see was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
and that was my fault, and I should have let you watch it.
Yeah, and like because I was talking to some of my students about it, and I was like telling them how they wouldn't let me see it until they were like, you can't see it until you're blah blah, and like telling them that it was like me trying to imagine because there was so like I had never been told no. We had seen so many things that I was just like, what could possibly be so like what in the world could be so awful that this is where they're drawing the line of like, no, you cannot see this. Like, and then I did see it and it was like, okay.
Yeah, this ain't shit.
Okay. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I mean
Other
that
than some
really
really outdated ways to talk about being trans,
yeah. Well, and that's another question is like, were we? Because Mom likes to pretend like she had conversations with us around some of these things that I do not remember.
Sure, yeah.
But like that's where I'm at. Like because with Elliot being almost 5, we're getting into like I haven't watched anything of mine that I want to watch with him.
Right.
Like everything that I watch with him is for his age.
Yeah.
Other than like trying to watch like old Christmas movies or something like that. And he's like, this is boring,
Right.
but I'm not like, oh, we're going to watch bodies,
That's probably good. I don't think
but that's what I'm saying is like, like I'm definitely like our family. Like, I feel like our parents were more concerned about us watching violence than sexuality.
For sure.
I feel like there was no kind of filter with sexuality.
Right. But that would be the other thing I would argue about this movie. Yes, it was rated R, but to me it was rated R for language because you see more male nudity than you see female nudity in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely the use of sex for comedy and the use of sex as like a like seduction to kind of move a plot forward or develop a character. But the sex in it, I mean, even Jamie Lee Curtis said like the scene with Kevin Kline where he's like making the orgasm faces, she had to put a pillow over her face because she was laughing so hard at his face.
Oh, when he like crossed his eyes.
Yes.
Like I mean, I'm watching it now. I'm like, her legs are like
Oh yeah,
here.
no, you could. I mean, there is
I
no
was like,
possible way.
you are not humping, like
Yes.
your torso, like your hips
Yeah.
are not together,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah. It's
So yeah, and like
cartoonish. Yeah.
yeah, and like the underwear on the face, and I mean,
Yes.
I guess in a way, it's like you could look at her using sexuality to get what she wants, like, but it's like she was like the strongest character in the movie. All of the men are so fucking like weak and
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
You know, like he was so easy to like get him to break the law and run off with this person because it's like she's like, you're so good at your job.
Yeah.
And
I'm
like
wearing
his wife and
glasses. I'm smart.
child ignored him, and she's like, oh, I'd love to watch you work. Like, completely like, this person, like, you're running off with her. Like, what is happening? Like,
I will say, okay, they had more conversation than in The Quiet Man. So,
I mean, true. It's like another movie that it's like, how are you in love with her?
right.
Like, you're
Yeah.
not in love with her, you want to fuck her.
Right. Yes.
Like,
But he did also kind of fall in love with her a little bit. I mean, I believe it a little bit more than I believe some other things. And there was no way that this movie could not have a ridiculous ending. Like it had to keep amping up to a point of ridiculous for sure. I would like to talk a little bit more about the justice system in England and how literally walking up to someone's face in a lineup and being like, you is not a safe way to do a lineup.
No, I know. Like she like touched him on the shoulders, like this is the one. Yeah, like that is not.
When did they? I mean, we have a whole
obviously because it got her killed.
We have a whole famous American movie about how dangerous it was for someone to identify from a lineup across a room while they were in the dark. Not even in a separate room; they were all in the same room together, and it was still dangerous for that person. And this old bitch just walks up and is like, "You, England, what the fuck? Is this how you still do it, y'all? Come on." Like,
and they're like in there, you know, like those guards are in there, and he's like, "Okay, here's the plan," and like nobody's listening. Like, no, like where's the recording the conversations?
Well, they record everything now, so that's not a problem.
I know. And okay, so I don't know. I was also confused because again, now that we're on the justice system of England, she was like, blah blah blah. Oh, that's his lawyer. That's his barrister. I don't understand the difference. Like, I guess in a way, I understand the barrister is the one who, I guess, tries the case.
Yes,
but a barrister's not a lawyer.
A barrister usually starts as a lawyer. So a lawyer is the person who, like, might work on the plea deal. They do a lot of the legwork, and then the barrister is the one who has silks and can actually go and argue before the judge, and like argue before the crown.
Okay, so like basically,
it's kind of like doctors and nurses, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like we just took that barrister part out, and we're like, this is the same thing, so we're just gonna have lawyers.
Yeah, but remember, in Canada, they still have it. I don't know if you remember, but like one of the first days we were in Montreal, we were walking to the conference, and some hot ass man got out of his little tiny car and he was smoking, because everybody in Montreal smokes apparently, or at least they did 10 years ago when we were there. And he was wearing his silks, and he's like quickly walking toward this courthouse and like puts on his little barrister wig. And I was like, I think I'm having an orgasm right now. I don't know what's happening to me.
You're like, I don't even need the voice. He probably spoke French too.
Oh yeah. I'm like, oh, is that? Oh, okay. Okay. Bye.
I have no memory of this.
Okay. I probably didn't even say anything. I probably was just like, you're probably telling me.
Like, Heather, why did you just sit down slowly in the floor?
Just melted.
Why did you just melt into a puddle? It's actually quite cold here.
Yeah,
you okay?
I mean, I assume that's how it works because they have the little wigs, so I assume they keep everything the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we have any Canadian listeners, so we can't be told about that. But
if we do, because no, I actually have had students ask me before. They were like, "So how does Canada work? Because like, why do they have the Queen on their money?" And I was like, I don't know how Canada is Canada, but also still related to England. Like, I don't Don't ask me about that. Like, I barely know how our government works.
Yeah.
So that was just like a thing. I didn't realize, like, I figured like every lawyer was also a barrister. It was just like, this is the funny costumes we wear in court because
That's true. Those are the funny costumes they wear in court because
why? Like, why do they still wear the funny like, I guess tradition, it's an old country.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever.
They still have all those tiny ass doors. Ain't nobody going and making them bigger. I don't know what you want me to tell you. They just added CCTV everywhere. I don't, whatever.
I'm so like,
I think London still
time
only
of
has
my
like
life, like
the whole city of London, I think, has like 2 helicopters, maybe, and then like one of them is owned by some private company. I don't remember who, but it's like famously there's like a third one because a private company has it, and sometimes they'll let the city use it for emergencies. Whereas like LA has like, I don't know, 100,000 helicopters that fly around all day, every day. Like it's a weird place. Like it's different.
I don't know. I guess I'm just but why? Like, because in my job and like education, I'm
But
constantly
Google
like,
it.
but
Also,
I mean, like, what? Like, because it's tradition. Why? Why are we still doing this? Is it serving any purpose?
oh,
Like,
well, I mean, they still have a monarchy, and we know what happened with that this week. Let's not talk about it.
no, don't care about
Don't go near him. He's mine.
that. Oh my God, I know.
I love it. The narcissism of Otto smelling his own armpits during sex is hilarious.
Yes, and to calm himself down, like,
Yes, yeah. So
and then also being like, I don't do jealousy; it's for the weak. Like, okay,
oh yeah, no, he was a very unself-aware, stupid person.
yes,
The KGB,
he was a man.
when he brought that up, he says the KGB. And then I thought, screenwriters had to get more racist and creative after the Berlin Wall fell. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, they had to figure somebody else to blame. They couldn't just make everything like the Russians. Like, shit. I do absolutely love, and I will say this 100% makes up for any seduction she might have done. The fact that Jamie Lee Curtis was bleaching her mustache as she was getting ready and doing her hair. Like, God love that. That was perfect. Mm-hmm. Did you know that the actress who played Portia is actually John Cleese's real daughter?
I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do shut up, Portia.
And the hanging out the window would not work in the day of smartphones at all.
Why?
Because people would have taken pictures and they would have zoomed in, and then it would have been like Barrister Archie Leach, blah blah blah, and
I mean, there was all those people standing there watching, and nobody was like calling the police or anything. Like,
and evidently,
I don't think London in the 80s people were like,
Evidently, those were just regular bystanders that didn't.
Oh,
they
I'm
couldn't
sure.
see the crew.
Yeah. And I'm sure nobody called fucking anybody. They were like, yeah.
Did you know Archie Leach is Cary Grant's real name?
Cary Grant's real name?
Yes.
No, I did not know that.
Yes. So John Cleese chose it because he felt it was the closest he would ever get to being Cary Grant. Playing a character called Archie Leach, which was cute.
Was Michael Palin in blackface? When he has the dreads and when he puts the Rastafarian dread one on.
Oh, quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't think it was like, yeah, it was very hard to tell.
Yeah, I would say the more the movie went on, the more I was like, how many shots are in that clip? How did she get the lead pipe through security? Is miming really faster than writing things down? Like, there's no way the cement dries that quickly. Like, it's like a whole lot of like the suspension of disbelief was getting pretty tough as the movie kept going on. But Ken is coming to kill me.
I know. At the end, I wrote, this movie is terrible people who should all go to jail.
Yes, that's true.
But I do like when Jamie Lee Curtis goes like Margaret Thatcher never lies.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That
was pretty good. Yeah, she got off some good lines for sure. And Michael Palin, apparently they filmed like all his stuff separately, and it really feels like it. Like watching it now and knowing how movies are made, like It doesn't feel integrated at all, but I
No, it's very
like,
two different
it's still
storylines.
like sad but hilarious that he keeps trying to kill the old lady and ends up killing the dogs.
All the dogs,
Loves
and
the
when he loves
dogs.
animals, I
It's
know.
so funny. Oh, so good.
Loves a little Stephen Fry cameo
I
there
know,
at the
yes,
end.
yeah.
Didn't remember that.
Just at the beginning of his he started to get a little famous around that time
Yeah.
with the bit of Fry and Laurie, so it was good times.
A lot of underwear on faces.
A lot
That
of
was
underwear on faces. I feel like that might be a British thing. I'm not sure about all that.
a very olfactory movie. They really liked smelling things.
It's true. You don't usually get that in film. It doesn't always
Yeah.
translate, but
No.
yeah, I thought it
But
worked.
whatever does it for you.
Unfortunately, I watched this on like maybe the Roku channel or something, so it had ads, which kind of it ruins the comic timing. So I'm not going to do that with comedies anymore. But then I also thought it was a little bit more like our lived experience because we probably watched it a lot on TV with ads.
Yeah.
So,
Which
although
is
I
why
don't
you
know
don't-
because with the language, I'm not entirely sure how we would have. Maybe this one we probably recorded it off cable and watched it
during a free week.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We don't own it because I would remember having that video cover, that VHS cover for sure.
I was gonna say we didn't own many movies.
No, not
Like
in the
I can
80s.
remember mom. Like I have a vivid memory of mom purchasing The Little Mermaid on VHS.
Well, that's because that shit was like $25 or whatever. And
I mean, they never bought movies for
the Disney Vault,
but that's why, like that,
Yeah.
like plastic case. It was like, like.
Yeah.
I also have a vivid memory of it because I think she bought it for me on a day that I stayed home from school sick.
But you weren't really sick.
I had lied.
Yeah. It's okay. Mom and I used to take sick days together, quote unquote. So yeah. You skipped so much school, whatever.
Yeah, but never like with mom. Mom's like, I don't want to hang out with you. Like, I don't like you.
Who does she like better though?
Elliot.
No.
Her dog.
No.
Alfie.
Out of the two of us.
That's only because she spends more time with you. Like,
incorrect. She likes you better. It's okay. I don't mind. A lot of other people like me better, but mom likes you better. It's okay. So hey, this is the first of our
like you better.
They let you watch that? Yeah, they did. They did. Yes. They let us watch A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, Ben did ask if we were watching Poltergeist, and I said no because I refused to, but they did let us watch that when we were kids.
Not only did they let us, that was like my favorite movie when I was like 7 or 8, so you know.
You were so... That's gonna be my child.
Join us next week when we discuss Blazing Saddles from 1974. And hey, if you're listening, it is on Netflix right now, but it goes off March 31st. So if you haven't seen it in a while and want to get caught up, head to Netflix and watch Blazing Saddles because it's hilarious. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And what should we talk about in future episodes? We'd love for you to tell us a theme that you think we should explore. We will explore it. We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram or Threads at iloveyoubutpod or email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.